Greetings everybody and welcome back to the Casual Wargamer. Apologies for the lack of videos recently. Real life has been a little bit hectic and I've been a little bit unwell, but I'm back in the house with a video that has been brought to the fore by a video I watched recently by Simply Warhammer, and if you haven't watched his channel, go find it. He's awesome. About Battle Shock and Objective Control and why it isn't working. I think I am very much like yourselves, probably were. When Games Workshop was showcasing the faction focuses for 10th edition, and when we got hold of the index downloads, it looked very much to me that Battle Shock and Objective Control were going to be a major part of 10th edition. It looked to me like Battle Shock was going to be something that you specifically tried to do to force opposing units to lose control of objectives so that you could swoop in and claim them or what have you. I mean, if you Battle Shock a unit, they go APC 0 unless they're Dark Angels, and you can't play, and your opponent can't put stratagems on them. And that seemed quite big. Ultimately, that's proved to be not the case in pretty much my experience and that of nearly everybody else I know. Right now, Battle Shock doesn't seem to do anything. Looking at it, Battle Shock, when a unit makes a Battle Shock test, the majority of things have a roughly 50-50 win chance of passing it or failing it. But your opponent can still spend a command point to either re-roll it or once per game auto pass one that has failed. But my experience has been that most of the time people aren't bothering because they pass these rolls, and if they do fail it, it's not overly relevant. Then you've got units that do things with a Battle Shock test. You've got things like Pyre Blasters, which trigger a Battle Shock test at -1. You've got those Tyranid, the new ones, the names will come to me one day, that can launch a barrage and they can slow the opponent down. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. I'm sure that's a Battle Shock test as well. And you've got things like that. In Chaos Knights, I played 2 games of 10th recently against Chaos Knights, same opponent, and their ability, their army sort of ability, resolves around Battle Shock. And in both games, it did butt kiss. It did absolutely nothing. I'm playing Marines. I've got 6+ Battle Shock for the most part, and I wasn't failing them. It basically meant that his army's abilities did nothing. Then you've got Objective Control. And this is something that Simply Warhammer talks about as well. The OC of units needs to change. Games Workshop need to fix this. So initially I was like, what's the point in taking battle line units? One of them, and I think this, I haven't double checked every army, but I think that barring things like Knights, Chaos Imperial, every army has a battle line unit that has sticky objectives. I can't think of one off the top of my head that doesn't, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just doing this off the top of my noggin. Everybody's got a unit that can do it. And battle line generally have like a 2 or 3 on a couple of occasions, I think, but mainly 2, Objective Control, and everything else is generally 1. But there are units in each army that have more than that. And it's like, in that case, there's no force to take battle lines, so why bother? So OC needs to change. Things like battle line units need to be like OC3. They need to be worth you going chunk on the objective and holding it. Other things like big monsters, Primarchs, Greater Demons, even the big ass vehicles should be slightly higher than that, because they're going to be holding that objective if they're sat on it. Everybody else should be lower. Other units, whether they be Terminators, Possessed, Dark Reapers, whatever, should really be the units that you take because of their abilities, not because of anything else. You should be taking battle line units. I mean, as a holdover, I think, from previous editions, I always take 3 battle line units. A character, 3 battle line units, and then I work out everything else. Because that's what's important. That's thematic. Every army should be built primarily on its battle line. And when you come to these games, Battleshock is doing very little. But I think that's also down to the play style. Because I have noticed that people are not just doing things to trigger Battleshock and drop you to 0 C, so you lose control of that objective, so they effectively score more points because they then might control more if that's what the mission gives. I still see that people are going, I'm going to kill everything. And they wipe units out. And then they focus on another one, and they wipe a unit out. And they focus on the other, and they wipe a unit out. And it's like, well, you should be playing to the objectives. The game is meant to be less lethal now, and it's not showing that. There's a little bit of that, I admit. The AP has dropped on things. But I'm finding the units are still dying left, right, and centre. But people are not using, because Battleshock isn't very good and it doesn't do anything for the most part. The things I think Games Workshop wanted you to do with it, which is like what I said, to try and force Battleshock tests, not necessarily wipe a unit out, knock it to half strength, and then just, try and force that Battleshock test every turn. If you've got something that has an ability that triggers on Battleshock, do that so that the opposing army is screwed up. But it's not working that way. People are just continuing to do what they did in 9th and previous editions, which is just decimate everything and just walk on to the objectives. Battleshock and OC need a severe... I don't know, I'm not a game designer, but they need a severe overhaul to try and change the game around a little bit. That's just my thoughts. I pretty much kind of agree with Simply Warhammer's approach. I think our play styles differ somewhat, but I think our experiences and our expectations are the same. Anyway, that's today's video. Let me know down below if you agree, disagree. Go and check out Simply Warhammer. His channel is Awesome Sauce. Pop a comment down below, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Good gaming.